Welcome back, and thank you for tuning in to Midnight Affairs Tales. We appreciate every single one of you. We'd love to know what part of the world you are watching from right now. Let us know in the comments. Now, let's dive into today's story, Chapter 1. The wheels screeched as the C-130 landed at Fort Cavazos. Staff Sergeant Cole Maddox felt the jolt in his spine before the engines even died. 9 months of sandstorms, firefights, and nights spent with a rifle as his pillow, and now he was home. But no welcome message blinked on his phone. "No, I missed you," from Brielle. Nothing. He waited until he was off the tarmac to call her. 1 ring. 2. Then voicemail. He tried again. Straight to voicemail. Cole frowned and opened messages. The last text he sent 3 days ago, landing early. "Can't wait to see you," still showed as delivered. No read receipt. Then, in a heartbeat, that message bubble turned green. Blocked. He stopped walking. The cold hit him harder than any desert night. She blocked him. He stared at his screen, motionless, as soldiers passed him with duffel bags and hugs and tears. Cole stood alone. It was not just her silence. It was erasure, like he did not exist. His jaw clenched as he opened Instagram on his burner account. Brielle had loved attention. Surely she had posted something. He tapped into her profile, public, of course, and scrolled. His stomach flipped. There she was, smiling, sundress, holding her belly, pregnant. The caption hit like a mortar blast, halfway there. "Can't wait to meet you, little one." Cole did not breathe. She was showing, visibly, and glowing. 5, maybe 6 months. That was impossible. That was impossible because he had left 8 months ago. She was not just pregnant. She had been pregnant while he was still dodging sniper rounds in a godforsaken alley in Raqqa. Cole's hand trembled. He barely noticed the sergeant asking if he needed help. "No," he whispered. Then louder, "No, I am good." But he was not. He was sinking, in slow motion. He turned off his phone, threw his duffel into the back of his truck, and drove off base without another word. She blocked his calls the day he returned from war. He was about to give her something she could never ignore. Before we move ahead, I just want to say, your support truly means everything. We're building something special here, and our next big goal is reaching 10,000 incredible subscribers. If you're feeling the emotions in these stories, imagine what's still to come. Subscribe now, be part of this amazing journey, and let's keep growing together. Your one click can make a real difference. Let's continue the story. Cole pulled up to their home on Autumn Ridge Drive just after 10 p.m. The porch light was on. The flag still hung by the door, sun-bleached from months of neglect. His key still worked. Inside, it was too clean, spotless, decorated, but not for him. The scent of vanilla candles hit him like a memory and like a lie. He used to love that smell. Now it felt like cover-up. He walked into the kitchen. There were baby bottles sterilized in a rack. A printed baby shower invitation sat on the island counter next to a diaper cake. It was scheduled for Saturday. She had not even tried to hide it. He opened the fridge. Bottled water, kale smoothies, and a half-eaten cheesecake labeled Tucker's. He froze. That name again. He had seen it in the Instagram comments. "You are glowing, Brielle." Tucker is a lucky guy. His hands tightened into fists. He opened the bedroom door. Her side of the bed was perfectly made. His was still untouched, just as he had left it. A photo frame lay face down on the nightstand. He picked it up. It was their wedding photo. Cracked. "Right," he muttered. "Guess I am just a ghost now." He moved to the drawer. His letters from overseas were still there, every one unopened, neatly stacked like they were waiting to be thrown out. That night, he sat on the edge of the bed, staring at nothing. He did not cry. He did not scream. He planned. Thursday morning, Cole stood at the courthouse with his attorney, JAG Officer Liam Boone. "You are sure you want to serve her there?" Boone asked, tapping the file. "Yes," Cole said. "I want her to open it in front of everyone. The fake friends. Her mother. Her new boyfriend. The works." Boone paused, then nodded. "We can make it happen. I will schedule the process server for 2 p.m., right in the middle of the baby shower toast." Cole gritted his teeth. Perfect. By Friday, he had compiled everything. The Instagram screenshots, credit card charges, photos from their neighbor's security cam, Brielle and Tucker kissing on the porch just weeks after Cole deployed. It was not just infidelity. It was betrayal deep enough to make your bones ache. He sent one copy to his lawyer, another to Brielle's church pastor, and one, anonymously, to Tucker himself. The message read, "Ask her who Staff Sergeant Cole Maddox is. Ask her why she blocked him the day he came home." Cole did not need to make a scene. He just needed the truth to show up wearing its Sunday best. And come Saturday it would. Because when she opened those papers, at her baby shower, surrounded by cake, streamers, and lies, everything would explode. And he would not need to raise his voice. He would just watch it all burn. Tucker Barnes was not hard to find. Cole did not even need a private investigator. Not yet. Just one night of scrolling through Brielle's tagged photos and comments. And there he was, shirtless, tattooed, kneeling in front of her belly with his hands making a heart over her stomach. His bio read, Dad X3, HVAC Tech, Houston Strong. Cole sat in his truck, phone in hand, reading every comment under their pictures. Most were from Brielle's followers. Women she had called friends back when she and Cole were still together. "You two are perfect together. He is going to be an amazing dad. Brielle, you deserve this happiness." His hands curled around the steering wheel until his knuckles went white. Deserve? He switched tabs and pulled up Tucker's business page. Barnes Heating and Air. Over 50 reviews. One link led to a Yelp profile with a blurred-out home address, Far West Side, not 10 miles from where Cole and Brielle had lived. She had never mentioned him. Never posted while Cole was home. Not even once. Cole opened a notes app and started typing, building a timeline. Dates, images, receipts, gas station logs from her credit card. She had been seeing Tucker at least 3 months before Cole even deployed. He remembered it clearly now. She was cold that last week. Said she was just tired. Tired? No, she was cheating. And Tucker? Tucker had no idea Brielle was married. Cole's phone buzzed. A new Instagram story. He tapped. It was Brielle, smiling wide, filming herself opening a box of baby clothes. Tucker's voice in the background. "Our little prince is going to look sharp." Cole stared. Cold. Expressionless. He screen recorded it. Not for evidence. Just to remember the moment everything finally snapped inside him. That night, Cole pulled out the box. He had written to her every single week during deployment. Handwritten letters. Ink on paper. Pages of sand-covered thoughts, of hope, of fear, of longing. He had sealed each one and mailed it from bases that barely had running water. And she had saved them. Unopened. He sat cross-legged on the hardwood floor, the box in front of him. One by one, he lifted each envelope. His handwriting. Neat. Proud. Hopeful. He slit the first one open. "Hey Bree. Another dust storm rolled in today. Feels like I have been living inside a sandblaster. But I saw this kid smile when we handed out water. Made me think of you. Made me think of what we are building. Miss you like air." Cole folded the letter. Set it down. Opened another. "Bree, I had a dream you were holding our baby. Maybe it means something." He stopped. She had already begun building that life, with someone else. Cole looked around the room. Their photos still hung on the wall. Wedding shots. A vacation in Colorado. Her smiling at the summit. He walked to the fireplace. Stacked the letters. One match. A flick. They caught quick. He did not watch them burn. He just turned and walked out. He had done his part. Now it was time to end hers. Friday afternoon, Cole pulled into the parking lot outside Brielle's family church. He had not been there since their wedding rehearsal dinner. He remembered how her mother, Virginia, had wept watching them hold hands on the altar. "I have never seen her this grounded," she had said. "You keep her strong." Now Cole was here with manila envelopes and a printed timeline of lies. He sat in his truck, watching the church doors. At 4:15, Virginia stepped out, locking up the side door. Cole rolled down his window. "Mrs. Mercer." She turned, startled. Then her eyes narrowed. "Cole?" He stepped out slowly. No anger. No shouting. I just wanted you to have the truth before Saturday, he said, holding out the folder. She took it, cautious. What is this? He met her gaze. Your daughter is still married. To me. Virginia opened the folder. Photos. Dated texts. Screenshots. Court documents. Ultrasound timestamps. Brielle and Tucker kissing, holding hands. Receipts. Hotel bookings. All lined up against Cole's deployment log. Her face went pale. She swayed slightly on her heels. I am sorry you have to see it like this, Cole said quietly. But I figured it was better than hearing it from everyone else at the baby shower. Virginia did not speak. Her hands trembled as she clutched the folder to her chest. Cole turned to leave. As he opened his truck door, she called out. She said you abandoned her. Said you were gone. He paused. I was deployed, he said flatly. Not dead. Silence hung between them like fog. I will be there Saturday, he added. But not to celebrate. He got in, closed the door, and drove off. He did not need to convince anyone. He just needed the truth to walk into that party before he did. Tucker Barnes was not used to confrontation. He worked with tools, not emotions. Fixing broken air ducts, not broken truths. But Saturday morning, he sat in his pickup truck across from Brielle's house, staring at the message he had received the night before. Ask her about Staff Sergeant Cole Maddox. The name meant nothing at first. But then came the file, text screenshots, photos, wedding images, legal names. It hit him like a sledgehammer. She was married. Still married. He could barely process it. Brielle had said her ex left her years ago, could not handle commitment. She said she was raising the baby on her own, until Tucker came along. No? He did not know who the hell she was. He walked up the steps, fists tight. Knocked once. She opened the door in a flowing white maternity dress. Hey babe, oh. He held up his phone. This real? Brielle's smile froze. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. Tucker. Please just come inside and let me. He stepped back. No. No inside. No stories. Just tell me if that man is your husband. She blinked. Tears welled. It was not like that. He left. I thought we were done. Brielle, you lied to me. For how long? I was scared. He shook his head. You were lying. There is a difference. He turned away. She grabbed his arm, desperate. Please, do not walk away. I need you. He is not coming back. Tucker pulled his arm free, voice cold. Seems like he already did. He left her standing there, trembling. Alone on the porch. She was not glowing anymore. Chapter 8. The sound of paper tearing. The baby shower was staged like a picture-perfect celebration. Pastel balloons bobbed in the breeze. White tints shaded tables covered in baby blue napkins and gold-trimmed plates. Guests laughed politely, sipping punch, complimenting Brielle's glow. She played her role well. Her smile was wide. Her dress hugged her bump just enough. But her eyes were searching. Every glance over her shoulder felt too long, too nervous. Her mother had barely spoken to her since arriving. At 1:58 p.m., the caterer brought out the 3-tier cake. Welcome baby Jackson. It read in blue icing. People clapped. Someone began filming. Then came the moment. At exactly 2 p.m., a silver sedan pulled up to the curb. The man in a blazer stepped out, envelope in hand. Excuse me, he said, walking up to the main table, where Brielle sat smiling for photos. Brielle Mercer Maddox? She blinked, confused. Yes. You have been served. He placed the envelope in her hands. Guests froze. Phones dropped. The air turned solid. Brielle stared at the papers like they were written in fire. Her lips parted, reading each line, skin draining pale. No, she whispered. The crowd began murmuring. Her best friend leaned in. What is going on? Brielle stood up too fast, chair toppling. He is doing this here? Now. Her mother took one look at the papers and stepped away, hands raised. I told you, she said bitterly. I warned you. And now you have ruined everything. Brielle looked around. Every smiling face now watched in shock, curiosity, judgment. She was alone, humiliated. She dropped the envelope, but the sound it made, light as it was, hit like thunder. Cole did not walk into the party. He watched from the street, windows tinted, engine humming. He saw the process server walk up, saw Brielle's fake smile vanish, saw the guests stiffen like statues, and he saw Tucker, standing far back near the fence, arms crossed, eyes locked on her. She spotted him, her face twisted into something not quite panic, not quite rage. She started toward him, but Tucker just turned and walked away. He did not say a word. Inside the tent, people avoided her eyes. Whispers rippled like wind through leaves. The camera phones were gone now. No one wanted to film a meltdown. Brielle picked up the envelope and ripped it in two, the sound sharp in the quiet air. "I am still pregnant," she shouted. "Does no one care about that?" No one answered. Cole leaned back in his seat, expression blank. His phone buzzed. One new voicemail. He did not check it. He deleted it before it finished downloading. He had seen what he came to see. He put the truck in gear and drove away. He did not need an apology. He had already gotten justice. Brielle stood alone after the last guest had left. The baby shower decorations still fluttered in the wind, cheerful and oblivious to the destruction they had just witnessed. The cake sat half-sliced, untouched on one side, with baby Jackson sagging into melted icing. She could not stop staring at the torn divorce papers in her hand. Her fingers gripped them so tightly that the edges crumpled into her palms. Virginia, her mother, approached slowly. Her voice was soft, but there was no warmth in it. "You lied to all of us." Brielle's breath caught. "Mom, you told me he left you. You told me he was done. You said Cole was not coming back. I thought he was. I thought we were over." Virginia stepped closer, her words cutting. "You thought? Or you hoped?" Silence. "You made a fool of me today," she continued. "You made a fool of yourself. And now, that man, your husband." He walked away without saying a word. "That should terrify you." Brielle felt the tears press behind her eyes, but she blinked them back. "I was scared," she whispered. Virginia shook her head. Scared women do not start new families with men they barely know. They do not lie to the father of their child and call it survival. Then she turned and walked away, heels crunching on the gravel, leaving her daughter with nothing but silence and shattered streamers. Cole did not sleep that night. He sat in his apartment with the lights off, the only glow coming from his laptop screen. He had opened every file he collected over the past 2 weeks. It was not just evidence anymore. It was memory. Closure. He clicked through photos. Brielle at the fair with Tucker. Brielle smiling at a cafe table. Brielle wearing the necklace Cole gave her for their 3rd anniversary, wrapped in someone else's arms. He had seen everything he needed. He opened a new folder. Named it. Done. Moved all the files into it. Every screenshot. Every video. Every document. Then, without hesitation, he right-clicked and deleted the entire folder. It was not forgiveness. It was release. The only thing he kept was a single photo, an old one. The two of them standing in front of his Jeep, back when everything still felt real. He stared at it for a long time. Then he folded it, slid it into a drawer, and closed it. For good. His phone buzzed again. Another voicemail. He did not listen. This one, like the others, ended the same way. "Please, Cole. I made a mistake. Please." He stared at the screen until it stopped ringing. Then he turned the phone off. Not silent. Off. 3 days later, Brielle sat in the pediatrician's office alone. She wore oversized sunglasses, though there was no sun. Her makeup was clean, her hair perfect, but her expression? Empty. She had called him 3 times this morning. No answer. She had texted him once. "I just want to talk. Please." Nothing came back. The nurse came in with a clipboard. "Miss Mercer?" She looked up. "Yes. Can I confirm the father's name for the birth certificate filing?" Brielle paused. She wanted to lie. She wanted to say Tucker Barnes and erase the shame. But she could not. "Leave it blank," she said softly. The nurse looked at her with a slight hesitation, nodded, and walked out. In the reflection of the office window, Brielle caught her own face. She did not look like a mother glowing with pride. She looked like a thief who had stolen something even she could not keep. A stolen smile. A broken lie, and a future no one wanted to claim. Cole stood inside the house he used to call home. He had come to collect his things. That was it. But the silence wrapped around him like fog. The air felt wrong. The pictures were gone from the walls, but the nails still stuck out like ghosts. Her favorite vase was shattered in the corner. Her side of the bed looked slept in, too neat to be real, too empty to be hers. He walked to the closet. Half of his clothes were untouched, still pressed, still hanging. She had not moved on, not really. She had just moved sideways, into a lie. He reached for the box under the bed. His things. Photos from boot camp. A watch his father gave him. Letters from a time before war carved itself into his bones. On top of the pile was a note in Brielle's handwriting. If you find this, please talk to me. He did not tear it up. He folded it. Then he placed it in the trash can on the way out. Not because he was angry, but because she no longer had the right to ask him for anything. Sunday morning, Pastor Green stood at the front steps of Brielle's church. He had known her family for years, officiated her wedding to Cole himself, watched them take vows with tears in their eyes. He had also received the envelope from Cole. He had read every word. And now Brielle stood in front of him again, shoulders hunched, makeup faded, holding her belly like a shield. I just wanted to talk, she said, voice trembling. I know what you must think, but it is not what it looks like. The pastor's eyes softened, but his tone stayed steady. Then tell me what it is. I did what I had to do, she whispered. Cole left. I was alone. No, the pastor said gently. He deployed. He served. You chose to be alone. Her lip quivered. You do not understand. I understand more than you think. He paused. I prayed for you too every day. I made a mistake, she said, breath catching. One that got too big to undo. The pastor looked at her belly, then back at her. All sins can be forgiven, he said. But forgiveness does not erase consequences. She nodded slowly, silent. When she turned to leave, he did not stop her. And for the first time, she realized even grace has limits. Cole sat at the coffee shop window, nursing a black coffee he had barely touched. Across the street, Brielle walked out of the church, shoulders drawn tight, eyes red. She did not see him, but he saw everything. He watched the hesitation in her steps, the way she looked down at her feet like she could not trust the ground anymore. She had always walked with confidence, always turned heads. Now, she looked like someone who finally understood the weight of her own choices. He should have felt satisfied, but all he felt was quiet. Not sadness, not triumph, just quiet. He stood, dropped the tip beside his cup, and walked out the back door without a glance behind him. There were some moments not worth disturbing, and she was already disturbed enough. It was late, nearly midnight. Cole sat on the balcony of his new apartment, staring out over the quiet streets of Austin. The city felt like a reset, no memories, no ghosts, just clean pavement and unfamiliar faces. His phone buzzed again. Same number. Brielle. He let it ring. Again. On the fifth try, he answered. But he did not say a word. The line was quiet for a moment. Then came her voice, soft, tired, raw. Cole, please. I know I do not deserve your voice, but I need to say something. Still, he said nothing. I was selfish. I was scared. And you did not deserve what I did. I know that now. I knew it before the baby shower, but I was too much of a coward to face it. I kept telling myself you were gone, that it was okay to move on. But you were never gone, were you? Cole exhaled, slowly. I kept looking at my phone like you would text. And then when you did, I blocked you. I knew what that meant. I could not face you. Still, he stayed silent. I do not know how to fix anything. I do not know if I even can. But I want you to know. I remember who you were. I remember every letter. I kept them. All of them. He finally spoke, his voice quiet. But you never opened them. She broke. A sob slipped through. I couldn't, she whispered. Because I knew every one of them was real, and I was not. He ended the call. No yelling. No last words. Just silence. Brielle sat in the nursery she had built from Pinterest dreams and Instagram inspiration. Everything was perfect. The crib was made of solid pine wood, painted sky blue. Tiny sneakers sat neatly on a shelf beside a folded blanket that read, Jackson. The walls were covered in soft animal prints, and a mobile spun above the crib, slowly, playing a music box lullaby. But the room felt hollow. She sat in the glider chair, rocking gently, staring at the empty crib like it was mocking her. Her phone rested in her lap. Cole had not called back. She did not expect him to, but a part of her still hoped. She leaned her head back and closed her eyes, hearing the music box turn. Then a sound, faint but unmistakable. Her front door closing. She sat up. Hello. No answer. She walked slowly to the hallway, heart racing. Mom. Nothing. She stepped into the living room and froze. A single envelope lay on the coffee table. No name. No return address. She picked it up, opened it with shaking fingers. Inside was a flash drive. No note. Just that. She walked back to the nursery, sat down, plugged the drive into her laptop. Dozens of files. Photos. Screenshots. Videos. All labeled. Proof. Proof of her lies. Proof of her affair. Proof of every step she had taken. He had left it for her to see, to feel, to sit in the silence she had created. And now she was alone, staring into the reflection of her own betrayal. The room was beautiful, but it was built on broken promises. Cole stood in the gym's back hallway, towel around his shoulders, sweat dripping from his temples. His fists still buzzed from the bag work. It was not therapy, but it was close. His phone vibrated again. Another message. I saw the drive. I deserved it. I get it now. I really do. But please, just tell me one thing, do you still hate me? He read it. Let it sit on his screen for almost a full minute. Then he deleted it. There was no reason to answer a question that had already been decided the moment she told another man he was the father. Cole looked up at the mirror across the wall. He hardly recognized himself anymore. Not because of the weight loss or the scars or the dead expression behind his eyes, but because he had stopped waiting to feel whole again. He was not waiting for closure. He was becoming it. Outside, the air was cool. A breeze cut across the parking lot as he unlocked his truck and climbed in. As he pulled away, the radio played something slow, nostalgic, full of regret. He turned it off. He had heard enough sad songs for one lifetime. Tucker sat on the edge of his brother's couch, staring at the wall like it owed him answers. He had not gone back to Brielle's place. Not since the baby shower. Not since the name Cole Maddox had detonated his trust. He had been lied to before, but not like this. Not while planning diapers and cribs and a name for a child that might not even be his. That was the question that clawed at him now. Was it his? He remembered the day Brielle told him she was pregnant. The tears, the shaking hands, that I did not think this could happen. He had believed her. All of it. Now he was not sure she even knew who the father was. His phone buzzed. It was her again. I need to talk. Just 5 minutes. I swear I will tell you everything. He stared at it, unmoved. Then, almost without thinking, he called his lawyer. I need a paternity test, he said. Urgent. And confidential. Because the truth had a price, and he was done paying interest on someone else's lies. The envelope was thin. Tucker held it in both hands, sitting alone in the parking lot of the clinic. His name was printed in bold. Inside, one answer. One line. He knew what it would say. He opened it anyway. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. He sat perfectly still. No sound. No reaction. Just stillness. Then he laughed, a bitter, cracked laugh that came out of his chest like smoke. Not because it was funny, but because it was all so painfully predictable. She had told him the baby was his. And now? It was nobody's. Or worse. It was Cole's. His hands trembled as he folded the letter and shoved it in the glove box. He started the truck and drove without a destination. He just needed to move, because everything around him had stopped making sense. Cole was at the Veterans Center when the message came in. It was not from Brielle. It was from Tucker. The text was short. No greetings. No apology. Just, I took the test. It is not mine. You might want to confirm if it is yours. Cole read it twice. Then a third time. He did not respond. Instead, he stood, walked into the counselor's office, and sat down. "I need to schedule a DNA test," he said, his voice steady but flat. "For custody?" the counselor asked gently. "No," Cole replied. "For clarity." That night, he pulled out the last letter he had written to Brielle, one he had never mailed. It said, "I would have been a good father. I would have given everything. You did not break a promise. You broke a future." He burned it in the kitchen sink. No rage. No tears. Just fire. Because some truths were not meant to be mailed. They were meant to be buried. It had been weeks since the baby shower. Brielle barely left the house anymore. But diapers did not deliver themselves, and today she had no choice. The grocery store was quiet. A weekday morning lull. She walked slowly through the baby aisle, eyes scanning rows of formula and wipes, pretending her life was not unraveling. She was almost at the checkout when she heard it. That's her. Two women, mid-30s, pretending to look at cereal. That's the girl who got served at her own baby shower. My cousin was there. Brielle froze. Her fingers tightened around the card handle. Cheated on her husband while he was deployed. The nerve, she turned the corner, trying to escape the whisper storm. But they were not whispers anymore. They were echoes. She could feel eyes. Judging. Tearing. Not because they cared about Cole, but because she had been caught. By the time she reached the parking lot, her heart was pounding. Her hands were shaking as she tossed the bags into the trunk. She sat in the driver's seat and looked in the mirror. Mascara perfect. Lip gloss untouched. But her eyes? Exhausted. Because no matter how many times she tried to explain herself to her mother, her friends, her reflection, the story was already written. She had become the cautionary tale in a town that never forgot. Cole stared at the small white box on his kitchen counter. His name printed neatly on top. No logos. Just clean, clinical text. Inside, a cotton swab, a return envelope, and instructions that felt heavier than any deployment briefing. He read them slowly. Twice. Take the sample. Seal it. Send it in. Simple. But nothing about it felt simple. He sat at the table, turning the swab between his fingers like it was a loaded weapon. The question haunted him. What if it is mine? Would that change anything? Would he step back into that chaos just for the child? He closed his eyes and remembered the nights he had imagined coming home to a baby's laughter, a small hand gripping his finger, a crib beside their bed. He had wanted that. He had been ready. Now it felt like that future had been stolen and sold to the highest bidder. He swabbed his cheek, sealed the envelope, dropped it off at the post office without a word. And as the box slid into the slot, he whispered under his breath, "No matter what this says, I am not going back." Brielle sat across from Virginia at the kitchen table, same spot she had eaten pancakes every Sunday growing up. But today there was no syrup, no laughter, just truth. "I need help," Brielle said softly. Virginia did not blink. "You needed help before you ruined your marriage." "I made a mistake." "No. A mistake is burning dinner. What you did was a betrayal." Brielle looked down. "I cannot do this alone," she whispered. "I do not have the money. Tucker's gone. Cole will not even speak to me. I need someone." Virginia folded her hands. "I will help you raise this child," she said. "But on one condition." Brielle looked up. "You stop chasing Cole. Completely. No calls. No texts. No messages. You cut the fantasy and face the life you built." Brielle's lip trembled. "But what if he is not," Virginia snapped. "And even if he were, he is gone. And you need to stop expecting a man you buried to dig you out." Silence. Only the sound of the fridge humming. Brielle nodded slowly. "Okay," she said. It was the first time she had said it without lying. The email came in at 2:41 p.m. Cole had been sitting in the back of the veterans group session, tuning out the echo of someone else's trauma, when his phone buzzed with a notification that felt heavier than it should. "Your DNA results are now available. Click here to view." He stared at the screen. Time slowed. His hand hovered over the screen for a moment, then finally tapped. The page loaded. Result: not the biological father. Probability: 0%. Cole did not react. Not at first. He just sat still, screen glowing in his palm like a cold confirmation. It was not his child. It had never been. For a second, he felt nothing at all. Then the silence inside him cracked, and something he had not expected slid in behind it. Relief. Not because he hated the idea of being a father. No, he had wanted it, fought for it, written letters to a child that never existed. But because now he was free. Truly, completely. There would be no legal battles, no shared custody, no obligation to stay tethered to the woman who dismantled him while smiling into another man's camera lens. He stood up quietly, left the circle, and stepped into the sunlight. It did not feel warm, but for the first time in months, it did not burn either. Brielle sat in the bath, arms wrapped around her knees, water cooling by the minute. Her phone rested on the counter beside a burned-out candle. No reply, no message, no call. It had been days since she had sent that final voicemail. No guilt trip, no begging, just raw truth. And still, nothing. She had tried to hold on to control of the story, of her image, of the people around her. But now everything had spiraled into a space where even she could not spin the narrative. The DNA test had confirmed it. Neither Cole nor Tucker. It made no sense. Except, it did. One night. Some party. A forgettable mistake she never thought would resurface. She had dismissed it, buried it. And now the truth had clawed its way back to the surface like rot under perfect skin. She leaned back, water rising under her chin. No man wanted her now. Not with this baggage. Not with this scandal. Not with a child whose father she could not even name. The baby moved. She placed her hand on her stomach and whispered, "I am still here. I will figure this out. Somehow." But even as she said it, her voice cracked. Because she knew the child deserved the truth. And right now, the only thing surrounding them both was a lie. It was dusk when Brielle heard the knock. She had not been expecting anyone. Most of her friends had gone quiet, ghosted her like she had become contagious. She opened the door cautiously, robe clutched at her collarbone. A woman stood on the porch. Early 30s. Sharp cheekbones. Dressed in business casual. Holding a sleek leather portfolio. "Brielle Mercer?" the woman asked. Brielle nodded slowly. "I am Anna Calloway. I work with the Office of Paternity Disputes. We received a match alert based on the testing submitted by 2 parties connected to this child. You and a man named Tucker Barnes." Brielle's breath caught. What? The system flagged a conflict in the records, and a third-party DNA profile was auto-run through the military medical database. Why? Standard protocol when the biological father is unknown and previous matches are excluded. "We have confirmation now." Brielle's mouth went dry. Anna opened the folder and slid a paper toward her. "The father is not Tucker. And it is not Cole Maddox either." She pointed to the name printed clean in black ink. "Derek Vaughn." Brielle's heart stopped. Derek. The bartender. One night. No name exchange. Just heat, liquor, and silence. I do not even," she stammered. Anna's voice was calm, professional. "He was stationed overseas. He is back now, and he is requesting contact." Brielle leaned against the doorframe, legs suddenly weak. The baby inside her kicked again. But for the first time, she did not feel like she was holding life. She felt like she was holding a consequence. Derek Vaughn had not expected a knock on his door. It was late. He was in gym shorts, sipping bad coffee, watching a documentary he was not even paying attention to. But when he opened the door and saw Brielle standing there, face pale, eyes hollow, hands clasped over her stomach, he knew instantly. She did not say his name. She just said, "I need to talk." He stepped aside. The apartment was small but clean. Spartan. One couch. A table with military medals stacked in a box. No baby toys. No pictures of family. She sat across from him, back straight, trying to hold some semblance of pride. "I did not know it was you," she said, barely above a whisper. Derek nodded. "They sent me the file." Her hands trembled. "I did not come here to trap you or ask for anything." "Good," he said, "because I do not owe you anything either." That hurt more than she thought it would. "I just wanted you to know." I never even thought it was possible. That night was, she trailed off. A mistake, he finished for her. Yeah, I got that. Silence stretched between them. Then he leaned forward, elbows on knees. I am not interested in playing stepfather to someone else's disaster. But if that kid is mine, I will take care of what is mine. Understand that clearly. Brielle nodded, slowly. Do not expect warmth, he added. This is not a romance story. This is paperwork. She swallowed the knot in her throat and stood. Good night, Derek. He said nothing. She left without looking back. But she could feel it. Even her backup plan came with barbed wire. Cole stood in the hardware store, staring at a crib set on display. Oakwood. Handmade. Tags listed it at $600. Perfect for your first little one, the sign read. He had almost bought one just like it, months ago. Back when he thought he was coming home to start a family. Back when letters meant something and promises had not been turned into weapons. A man beside him spoke, nodding toward the crib. First kid. Cole blinked, caught off guard. No, he said. False alarm. The man smiled politely and walked away. Cole stood there another minute, then turned and walked out without buying anything. That night, he took a detour. Drove back through Autumn Ridge, past the old house. Lights off. No cars out front. But he did not stop. He had no desire to look into that window anymore. She had made a bed out of secrets. And now, she could lie in them alone. Brielle sat on the edge of her bed, phone in her hand. She stared at Cole's contact name. Still saved. Still there. She had deleted it a dozen times. She had added it back 13. The apartment was dark except for the hallway nightlight casting a dull glow across the floor. The baby's kicks were rhythmic now, like small reminders that time was closing in. She hit call. It rang. And rang. Voicemail. She did not leave one. She called again. This time, Cole answered. Silence. Brielle swallowed. I know I should not have called. You should not have, he replied. But I wanted to say, thank you. For not destroying me. You could have done worse. You had the power. I did not need to destroy you, he said. You did it yourself. Her throat tightened. I am sorry, Cole. For what? The affair? The lies? The baby? Be specific. I am sorry for all of it. He paused, then said, I believe you. That stunned her. Then why won't you forgive me? She asked. I did, Cole replied. Forgiveness is not the same as trust. One is free. The other is earned. You used up all of it. Then he hung up. She stared at the screen. And for the first time, there were no tears. Just silence. Because there was nothing left to say. The courthouse hallway smelled like old wood and ink. Brielle sat on the bench outside room 2C, holding the documents in her lap. The stack was slim. Just a few sheets. It was a name change request. Back to Brielle Mercer. She had carried Maddox for nearly 6 years. Worn it like armor when Cole was away. Flaunted it when she needed sympathy. Hid behind it when she betrayed him. And now, she was letting it go. The clerk called her name. She stood, numb, and walked in. 15 minutes later, it was done. No ceremony. No closure. Just a signature. When she stepped outside, the wind was sharp. It caught her hair and swept it back like a reset. She opened her purse, pulled out her old ID, Brielle Mercer, age 28. Back then, she was selfish, but young. Now she was just tired. As she walked to the parking lot, her phone buzzed. A message from Virginia. Baby supplies delivered. They're on the porch. Stay inside and rest. Brielle stared at the screen. She typed and deleted 3 replies before finally sending just, thanks. That was all she could manage. She was losing names, people, places, but she still had this child. And maybe, one day, that would be enough. Cole stood on the edge of Lake Travis, when brushing across the water, jeans damp from the dew-soaked grass. He had come here to think. This was where he and Brielle had picnicked once, years ago, before war and betrayal hardened the edges of his world. Now, he barely recognized the memory. He pulled out his phone, opened notes, and began typing. To the woman I loved once. He stared at the line for a while, then deleted it. Instead, he wrote, You taught me everything about what love should never be. He saved it and locked his screen. He had stopped calling it heartbreak. What he felt now was quieter, like an old scar that stopped itching. Still there, but no longer bleeding. A family walked past him on the trail. The father held his toddler in one arm, his wife's hand in the other. Cole watched them go. Not bitter, just aware. He still wanted that. But next time, it would not be built on illusions. Virginia sat in her kitchen with a lukewarm cup of tea and a box of old photo albums. The baby was asleep in the next room, giving her a rare moment of silence. She opened one album, Brielle's wedding. Page after page of smiles and promise. Cole in uniform. Brielle in white. The way he had looked at her during the vows, it was not just love. It was belief. Virginia sighed and set the album down. She had believed it too. And maybe that was what hurt the most. Not that Brielle had destroyed her marriage, but that she had destroyed something pure. Something that had felt blessed. Her phone buzzed. A message from Cole. Thank you for staying out of it. Virginia blinked, then typed back. It was never my place to fix what she broke. I only pray the child does not inherit her chaos. Cole replied once more. The child will have a shot, if you raise it right. Virginia stared at the screen, then looked toward the nursery. And for the first time since this all began, she felt something close to purpose. It had taken Cole weeks to even consider it. He had moved into the new apartment with only essentials. Left the old house to Brielle, not because she deserved it, but because he no longer wanted to share space with echoes. But the attic still had the box. The one marked B+C, taped twice, hidden behind a stack of unused winter coats and Christmas decorations. Cole stood at the top of the ladder, flashlight in hand. The bulb flickered overhead as if protesting the moment. He opened the box. Inside, every photo from their first 2 years. Movie ticket stubs. The keychain from their honeymoon rental. A pressed flower from their anniversary dinner, carefully sealed in a plastic slip. It was not just nostalgia. It was evidence of who he had been. Before war, before betrayal, before silence. He sat there for a long time, staring at a photo of Brielle asleep on his chest. They were laughing in that moment, frozen mid-breath. Then he grabbed a trash bag. He kept one photo, him in uniform, alone, holding their dog. Everything else. He tossed it in, tied it tight, and carried it to the curb. Some people hold on for closure. Cole had learned to let go to find it. Brielle stood in front of the bathroom mirror, towel wrapped tight, hair wet from the shower. She studied her face closely, the dark circles under her eyes, the hollowness around her mouth. She had not aged. Not drastically, but her reflection looked unfamiliar. Worn. Lost. She leaned in closer and whispered, "What happened to you?" The mirror, as always, gave no answer. She used to take selfies in this mirror. Spent hours getting the light just right. Angles, filters, fake laughs. That was before truth had a cost. Before love had terms. Before reputation shattered like glass. She touched her belly, full term now. Her back ached. Her feet swollen. The weight of everything bore down on her, not just the child, but the guilt. The truth was, she had tried to make love out of loneliness. And now, all she had left was responsibility and regret. She picked up her phone, scrolled through her contacts, paused on Derek Vaughn, then put it down again. Because some people were not made to be called twice. Cole stepped into the old diner where he and Brielle had shared their first date. He was not here for nostalgia. He was here for confirmation. His old friend Marcus, who worked the evening shift, had seen her weeks ago. Pregnant. Nervous. Meeting with a lawyer. Marcus slid into the booth across from him. "You still keeping tabs?" Cole nodded. "Not for me. For peace of mind." Marcus chuckled, shaking his head. "Man, I gotta say, this story? No one would believe it if I told them. Baby. Another guy. Divorce at a baby shower." Cole smiled. "Barely. Yeah. Wild. You good, though?" Cole looked out the window. "Better than I have been in a long time." Marcus leaned in. "You know, if she ever tries to come back, she will not." Cole interrupted. "And if she does?" "I won't answer." He left cash on the table. No food ordered. Just truth exchanged. And as he stepped into the night air, Cole realized something strange. For the first time, the past felt small. He was not dragging it anymore. He was walking past it. The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and fear. Brielle lay on the bed, sweat soaking her forehead, breath ragged as the doctor spoke calmly. Deep breaths. He's almost here. Virginia stood beside her, holding her hand. Her grip was firm, but her eyes were distant. No partner stood on the other side. No father pacing the floor. Just sterile machines and the clock ticking louder than it should. When the baby arrived, the doctor lifted him gently. A cry. Loud. Sharp. Alive. Brielle turned her head, eyes wide. Is he okay? He's perfect, the nurse said, wrapping him in a blue blanket. They handed her the child, and something in her face cracked wide open. She stared at him, this small, red-faced miracle. He blinked once, then yawned. And Brielle whispered, I'm sorry. She did not even know who the apology was for. The child. Cole. The woman she used to be. All of them. The moment should have felt joyful. Instead, it felt like a clean slate and a heavy debt. Virginia sat down quietly beside her. Now the real work begins, she said. Brielle nodded, tears falling silently. Because this time, there were no more illusions left to hide behind. Just her. And a baby who did not ask for any of this. The nurse looked up from her clipboard. Are you ready to list the father on the birth certificate? Brielle paused. Her fingers hovered above the pin. Derek Vaughn had not shown up. No call. No text. Not even a voicemail. She had sent him the message. He is born. You can meet him whenever you are ready. That was 5 days ago. Nothing. She wrote her own name and left the father section blank. The nurse hesitated. Are you sure? Yes, Brielle said, her voice thin but firm. There is no one else. When the nurse walked away, Brielle glanced down at her son, small, sleeping, unaware. He had her nose. But everything else? Unknown. She reached over and touched his hand. It wrapped around her finger like instinct. Tears gathered at the edges of her eyes, but she blinked them away. Not because she was strong, but because she had no one left to cry to. Cole made coffee without music now. No background noise. No distractions. His mornings were slow, deliberate. This time last year, he would be doing push-ups in the garage or writing a letter to Brielle before chow time. Now, he was just still. And strangely, it felt right. He opened the fridge, grabbed almond milk, and caught his reflection in the stainless steel door. Short hair. Softer eyes. More muscle. Less noise in the soul. His phone buzzed. A message from a fellow veteran. Group hike this weekend. You in? He stared at it. Then typed back. Yeah, I'll bring snacks. It was nothing monumental, but it was something. And lately, Cole had learned that peace did not arrive like lightning. It arrived like this. Quiet. One small yes at a time. The hospital discharged Brielle on a rainy morning. She held the baby in his carrier, one diaper bag slung over her shoulder, her jacket soaked. No one came to pick her up. Virginia had stayed at home. Said she needed rest. Said Brielle had to learn how to do this without help eventually. She ordered a rideshare and climbed into the back seat without saying a word. The driver, a woman in her 50s, glanced at the baby, smiled. First one. Brielle nodded. Yes. He is beautiful. Thank you, Brielle said softly, clutching the carrier tighter. The ride home was silent except for the rain tapping on the windows. When they pulled into the apartment complex, the driver said, Do you need help bringing stuff in? Brielle shook her head. No, I have it. She paid, stepped out, and carried everything up the stairs herself. By the time she reached the door, her arms were shaking. But she never asked for help, because now she knew this was the life she chose. And every step was hers to carry. The nursery was quiet. The walls were still painted a soft gray blue, but the animal stickers had started to peel at the corners. The crib creaked every time Brielle leaned over it. She had tried to keep it all perfect, but something about the silence made it feel unfinished. She sat down beside the crib, holding a baby bottle in one hand, phone in the other. Scrolling. An ad popped up. Custom nursery name signs. Hang your baby's name with pride. She stared at the screen for a long time. She had not named him yet. Not legally. On paper, he was just Baby Mercer. Because no name had felt right. No name had felt earned. She looked at him. Sleepy, calm, innocent, and finally whispered, Kaelin. It meant warrior in Gaelic. She had looked it up during her second trimester, thinking it was too strong for a baby. Now it felt right. She stood, walked to the whiteboard hanging by the crib, and wrote it in thick black marker, Kaelin. For the first time since he was born, the room felt like his. And maybe, just maybe, like hers too. Derek Vaughn opened the email at 11:47 p.m. His apartment was dark except for the soft blue glow of his laptop. The message was from the hospital. Subject, confirmation of live birth, patient, Brielle Mercer attached, a photo of the baby. Born healthy. No complications. No listed father on the certificate. He stared at the picture for a long time. The child had his chin, his ears. Derek closed the laptop. He did not delete the email, but he did not reply either. He had made his decision weeks ago. This was not his war, not his future. The one night had not been a promise, it had been a moment. And that moment was over. He stood by the window, looking out across the city skyline. A man could serve his country. A man could sleep with a woman. But fatherhood? That took something more. And Derek had nothing left to give. The baby cried at 2:18 a.m. Then again at 3:42. By 4:15, Brielle sat on the floor of the nursery, back against the crib, rocking slowly with Kaelin in her arms. He would not sleep. His face was red. His cries full-throated and endless. She had tried everything, feeding, changing, singing. Nothing worked. Her eyes were swollen. Her body ached. And her spirit was thinning like smoke. She whispered, Please, just sleep. Kaelin cried harder. She rocked faster, holding him tighter, panic clawing at her chest. Then she broke. The tears came fast, silent. Not just from exhaustion, but from shame. She had done this. Built this life on deception, chased temporary warmth, ignored the man who would have stayed, and now she was here, begging a baby for mercy. By 5 a.m., he finally drifted off. She placed him in the crib with trembling hands and sat on the floor, staring at the ceiling. And for the first time since he was born, she said the words out loud, I am not ready. Cole stood on the edge of a cliff trail in the Colorado backcountry, 3 hours into a veteran's hike. Below him, the forest stretched endlessly. Wind cut through the trees, clean and sharp. His guide, a Navy vet named Logan, sat on a boulder nearby, sipping water. You always look like you were thinking about war, Logan said casually. Cole smiled faintly. Not anymore. Divorce. Cole chuckled. Not anymore. Logan raised an eyebrow. So what is left? Cole scanned the horizon. Life, I guess. Logan nodded. Funny how peace feels weird at first. They sat in silence, the kind that was not awkward, but earned. Cole had not thought about Brielle in days. Not with anger. Not even with sadness. Just not at all. Later that night, as he lay in his sleeping bag under a sky full of stars, Cole whispered to himself, You survived war. You survived her. Now survive you. Because closure was not a letter. It was a life rebuilt, one breath at a time. The apartment was quiet except for the soft hum of the baby monitor. Kaelin had finally fallen asleep, curled like a comma in his crib, the blanket rising and falling with his tiny breaths. Brielle sat at the kitchen table, a pen in one hand, a blank sheet of paper in the other. She had no one left to call, but there were still words in her. Words she had never spoken. Words Cole would never hear. So she began to write. Cole, you were the only man who ever looked at me like I was more than my surface. I ruined that. I destroyed something people spend a lifetime praying for. I wanted freedom, but I chose recklessness. And the truth is, I do not even know what I was running from. You deserved loyalty. I gave you lies. You deserved peace. I handed you chaos. But this boy, this little life, I swear to you, I will raise him to never treat love like I did. I do not expect forgiveness. I just needed you to know you were never the mistake. I was. She stared at the final line for a long time. Her hands trembled slightly as she folded the letter. Then she opened the drawer, placed it inside, and closed it. She never mailed it. Some apologies are meant to stay in the dark. The neighborhood looked the same. Cole had no plans to stop, but curiosity was a force harder than gravity sometimes. He drove slow past the house he once called home. The yard was overgrown. The shutters needed paint. A stroller leaned against the porch wall like it had been left there in a rush. A curtain moved. He did not look. Not fully, but he felt it. The past watching him. He turned the corner without pausing. There was nothing left in that house for him. No promises. No photographs. No weight. Just drywall and dust. His new home had clean walls. Clean air. Clean mornings. And that was enough. Sometimes healing is not a moment. It is a decision you make every time you choose not to turn back. Cole walked into the Veterans Center just before noon. He had come to drop off a few supplies and say hi to the new guys. Instead, the director, Janice, met him at the front with a smile. "Got a minute?" she asked. He followed her to the office. "There is a mentorship position opening up," she said. "We need someone who has been through it. Not just combat, but life. You ever think about helping guys full-time?" He paused, then smiled, genuinely. "I do not have a counseling degree." Janice leaned forward. "You have scars and clarity. That is enough." He exhaled slowly. "I will do it," he said. "I'm ready." That night, Cole stood in front of his bathroom mirror and looked himself in the eyes. For years, he had lived for duty. Then he lived through betrayal. Now, he was just living. And it was the strongest version of himself he had ever seen. The message came out of nowhere. No caller ID. Just a voicemail. Brielle's voice, quiet, tired, stripped of any act. "Cole, I know this is the last thing you want, but I just wanted you to know, he is okay. His name is Kalen. I picked it myself. It means warrior. You would have liked that. I'm not calling to ask anything of you. Not forgiveness. Not time. Not presence. I just wanted you to know. I kept my promise. I'm trying to be better. That is all." Cole listened to it once. Then again. He did not call back. He did not need to. She was not asking for anything. And for once, she understood that was enough. 6 months later, Cole stood in his apartment, sunlight pouring in through open blinds, calm music playing in the background. On the shelf above the mantel sat a single frame. It held a photo, not of Brielle, not of war, not of anything broken. Just him, arms around 3 younger veterans he had helped through the center's mentorship program. Smiling, really smiling, eyes alive, shoulders strong. Next to it, a small note written by one of the guys. "You saved me. Now I get to live." He touched the edge of the frame and whispered, "Me too." Behind him, his new dog barked playfully, pawing at his leg. He picked up the leash. Time to move. There was no ghost left in this story. Only footprints. And the road ahead. Brielle pushed Kalen's stroller through the park. He had his father's intensity in the eyes. But no one would ever know which father gave it to him. And maybe that was okay. She had stopped chasing answers. Stopped rewriting the past. Now she just walked. Fed him. Held him. Watched him smile at birds and cry over teething. Every day was hard. But it was honest. She stopped by the bench where they used to sit, her and Cole, back when love had not fractured into silence. She sat, opened the journal she wrote in at night, and wrote one line. Some stories do not end with a reunion. Some end with the lesson you never wanted, but needed most. She looked at Kalen. He giggled at the sky. She smiled. A real one. Then stood, took a breath, and walked forward. The end, but not forgotten. If someone betrayed your trust, would you burn the bridge or build yourself a new one on the ashes? Tell us in the comments. Where are you watching from? Your city, your country, we want to know. If this story made you feel anything, a chill, a tear, a fist clench, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that so you never miss the next thrilling, emotional, revenge-filled masterpiece. We will see you in the next story, and until then, take care of yourself, because sometimes the best revenge is peace.